us 1 second. One second. Everybody get your pencils and your papers. 1 second. With 1 second, everybody getting your pencils and papers. We got, we always like to break down. We got 2 more minutes. So get your pencils and your papers. Tell your friends we on. Islam to everybody. Everybody, let's have some class and let's greet each other. Give me about like 2 more minutes and we're gonna get everything started. I know. Yeah. I hope y'all ready. Everybody good? We had an amazing workout today. And we're going to continue to do it every day. Like I tell Moorish, this ain't no quarantine. You don't know nothing about a quarantine. We just resetting, doing what we're supposed to do. So let me get my camera set up. We're going to, I always like to talk about current events before we get started with the teachings, and then we teach. Like I say, I'm not here for nobody religious debate. If anybody come with some religion, I don't have time for that. I will easily block you for life, because that's what I'm not here to be arguing nobody religion. I'm a Moor. I understand all religions and I understand all the essence. That's why I say I'm an adept, because we have a particular type of understanding that we adhere to, which is a science. And I study all holy books. So that's what we must understand, and all holy books agree. The problem is a lot of brothers that say they adepts, or sheiks, because the sheik's supposed to be an adept. A lot of brothers that say they adepts, they don't have the science. We talk about a whole bunch of old stuff. So let me put my tea bags down. We're gonna get this started, y'all. Get this teaching started. Y'all good? Talk to me, y'all good? Hey, Isis, can you throw this away for me real fast? I don't want to waste up. Islam Moors? Come on, speak to me. Thank you. So before we get into these teachers, man, I hope everyone being safe, man, and not listening to people that think they know things. Like, this is what I tell everyone. We got to get out of just following people, man, because they say, like, I know people do things in love, like send me messages of people and all that stuff, but I really don't. I really don't follow anyone or listen to conscious community stuff. The reason why, man, is if you got all these, I call them, no disrespect, they all know something. I call them entertainers and this and that. If you got all these brothers that's entertainers, all these brothers that say they conscious, doing all these teachings, why they don't have a school? And then they love talking about entertainers and count somebody else's bag. And I'm like, but listen, all you guys call yourself conscious and doing all these videos and doing all these lectures and things, there's no body of teaching. And so all I see is people just talking about this. And I call that spookism. That to me, that's spookism. Like I said, we're trying to build something that we can teach and have something of our own and have land, not just talk about a whole bunch of stuff, because everybody knows some stuff. And I'm gonna tell you one thing. I'm gonna show y'all this one more time. There's nothing new under the sun. Every scholar know this. What these people telling you is nothing new. This is old, man. This is called programming. And people program you all different ways. They program you to love. They program you to be fearful of your life. So listen to what I'm saying, man. Everybody have a motive. If your motive is not building a structure, having a body of teaching and bringing people together, I want to know what your motive is. Because to me, your motive is the same thing as an entertainer, as a celebrity. It's nothing happening. So like I said, I understand when people send me stuff and it be from the heart, but I don't have time to be listen to what nobody's saying, just talking, and people just raising money, collecting money. And I'm like, collecting money to do what? Are you a nonprofit? No. Are you a builder? No. Y'all done did thousands of lectures all over the world. Still no movement. Number two, before I get into this teaching, Moors. During this time, man, y'all got to be smart. If you don't need things sent to you in the mail, don't take it right now. That's why I'm telling Moors, I'm not sending no books and fezes out at this time. You should want nobody sending you nothing. Do you know? And this the thing when these so-called people talk about everything is a hoax. I say, man, okay, people dying. And if it's a hoax, well, people lie for a hoax then. And we always get into these people that's, I'm gonna call them conspiracy theorists, because there's no science to it. They sitting at home Googling. These people ain't never been in no laboratory and jump right on the thing and try to tell you all the science, talk about this is a hoax, talk about this is the cure.
Man, you got to be crazy. You don't know anything and nothing is new. So like right now, if you're not getting medicine, you don't need a book right now. You should wait a minute. You should have all the books. Like I said, every book that you're going to order, I have on PDF. If you was part of the school, anything you want, you can get PDF from me. You should be accepting no packages right now. Because people coughing all on stuff right now, and then they shipping it to you. And then you think this stuff is so much of a hoax, and people getting sick for real in Arizona all over the place because of people being stupid. And you call it a hoax and it's man-made. And I say, well, I can care less if it's man-made, this made. If it's man-made, it's still made. And then people saying it's not real. You got to be crazy. Military always do tests, and the tests have to be on human subjects. Why? For you can make sure the tests work. Reaction time. It's a lot of things that people don't know because they get into spookism. Nothing's new. In the military, it's a thing called diversion. In the military, it's a thing called covert names. Like, none of this stuff is new. Nothing is new. And if you understand this, you will protect yourself the most. That's all you can do. And live out of fear. Stop doing dumb things. Most people haven't ever even read, right now, be honest, have any more ever read the Tavistock Institution of Human Relations? The shaping the moral, spiritual, cultural, political, and the economic decline of the United States of America. This stuff is old. When I speak of things, man, from a scholar, man, from a scholarship perspective, I'm like, man, none of this stuff is new. It's only new, no disrespect, it's only new to a Negro, black, or colored, or somebody just coming to information, because I know they ain't studying nothing. Why? Because the information costs. And this is what I tell Moors. I said, man, get out of spookism. Stop listening to somebody that just posting on the internet and they never been in no university studied. They never been in no laboratory with no test tube and no beakers. They never been under a microscope looking at genes, looking at molecules, looking at blood cells. Never. Never. Then all of a sudden we put on the feds and we got YouTube. We let somebody tell us this. Oh, they say this is the remedy. This is dude. Why? Because we dressed up. And then you listen to that stuff and lose your life, or a loved one lose their life. And that's what I'm telling us, man. There's nothing new under the sun. The reason it's new to most people because they're not in a particular field understanding this science. You got to understand what I'm saying. This stuff is old. If it's a test, then they're going to test it. And tests have to be done on particular subjects. You have to have certain individuals or whatever you're testing to test. If you're testing on animals, you test on animals. If you're testing on humans, you need to test on humans. What? Reaction times, certain things. Use your brain. If things are man-made, we talk about this all the time. And if things have patents, what that mean? If things have a patent, what do that mean? This is simple. This is simple stuff. Just like religion. You can miss me with this man-made religion stuff because every religion is made by a man. So therefore, if it have a patent, what that mean? This is simple stuff. This is why I be laughing at Moors. They be like, you talk about this and that. I'm like, man, you have no idea what you're talking about. If it has a patent, that means it's man-made. So if it's man-made, do that mean it's fake? See, this is the idiotic thing that these Moors come with. They act like they some doctors or they some scientists. Oh, it's man-made. Oh, it's man-made. Okay, I say, if it's man-made, do you think it's fake? Because it's man-made to kill man. So do you think it's fake because somebody sat in a laboratory, and just like they put things together like GMO. What's GMO? Genetically modified organisms. If they can make fake food, you think they can't put things out in the air? This stuff has been happening. That's why I tell Negroes, about the art of war, I go get some bullets. Man, your bullets is obsolete, man. Your bullets ain't gonna do no good, man. I'll drop something in the sky, right in your particular neighborhood, have everybody fall dead like cows. I mean, if you really want to use your mental, think about this. Quarantine. You could quarantine anything, and drop anything to see how people react to it. To see, can we quarantine this area? Quarantine this area for it won't spread. It's certain things that can be done. That's already been done. Test subjects. When you talk about syphilis, that was done on the blacks to see how it affect them, X, Y, Z. So all I'll be saying, I don't get caught up in spookism. What I do, I look back in history, and I'm not going to put my faith in a machine that's been proven to destroy. What I must do is rise above in the laws. And the laws, when we come together, which I'm teaching us, protect us. Because we the people. Y'all ain't listening. So that's number two. What I'm saying, we got to get out of just following people. And I say, okay, what's the purpose? What about our babies? It's going to be a whole bunch of old dogs that's barking. Nobody got time to listen to no whole dog. What about your babies? Okay, let's put all this adults aside. Let's get our children and let's see what our babies know. I bet you our babies don't know half of what we supposed to believe. I guarantee you, we sitting up here talking this, but I say charity stars at home. Take everybody's children. They children don't know nothing. Because we so focused having pissing contests, debating, raising, making money. And that ain't what I'm trying to do. And that's what we're going to show these Moors. The Burning Bush Tabernacle, Moorish Science Temple and School is a nonprofit organization. We're tax exempt, federal, charitable, scientific, education, religious. We're going to teach the body. We're going to have schooling. We're going to have our Sunday school, our civics. We're going to teach classes 5 days a week, just like high school. We're going to teach. But do y'all understand what I'm saying? I hope Moors understand what I'm saying. I know Moors not studying. A lot of stuff, what I'm talking about, is not introduced to a lot of people. It's not introduced to academia. I know a lot of people just post pictures of books. I know this. Why? By the questions that you don't or the questions that you ask. It tells a teacher, a professor, this is my life. It's information out there that a lot of us don't know. That's old, that can't be refuted. So in this trying time, I tell us, be careful. Be careful. Don't be stupid. Listen to these people. I done saw some more like, I ain't practicing no social distancing. I'm doing this. I said, okay, that's on you. Where something happened to you and your people, I hope you make it right. And I hope Allah have mercy on you. I really do. So with that being said, let me do my Moorish American prayer. And we're going to get into this teaching. Our prophet warns all Muslims, governors ordered to read the proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes or in the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. My 2 cents, health and wealth. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting the temple and the prophet. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. By the order of Prophet Noble Ali. Our Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Noble Ali. Y'all good, Moors? Y'all good? Boom, 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 boom. Because I'm feeling amazing. I'm feeling amazing. Had an amazing workout. But let's get into this science. Number one, how many Moors do you think? Forget all that. Forget think. Let's keep it 100, man. Who cares what somebody know? I don't give a damn what nobody know. I don't give a damn about a whole bunch of old history if we're not going to understand the history to move forward. If we're just going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff and get people scared. That's religion. That's religion, a whole bunch of Negroes going around speaking, collecting dollars. That's for profit speakers. I don't give a damn if you package it as all some conscious this, conscious this. That's a for-profit preacher. If you're going around speaking and having teachings for dollars, that's how you make money. And it ain't no disrespect, but I'm saying if it's a body, what are we trying to do? What are we teaching? Where's the body? What about the children? What about the empresses? A like I told you, I don't want to be around nowhere where it's all men. I don't have time to be around a whole bunch of men. It's not going to happen. If I can't be around family, men, women, children, babies, that ain't me. I'm a family man. I'm building families. You single man, you ain't with no emperors. You talk about you 30, 40, 25. What you trying to do? I'm trying to build families. Why? So we can have children. So we can produce this world and have educators and our doctors and our scholars, and we have this body. That's what I'm building. I ain't building about a whole bunch. We finna go listen to somebody talk like some conscious evangelist. Oh, I gotta put my speaking engagement together. Man, I ain't got time for that. We scholars over here, man. We educators. So there's no reason to let nobody get you caught up, because if you were the student, you would get the science from me. This is when I asked Moorish, have they ever read the Tavistock Institution of Human Relations, shaping the moral, the spiritual, the cultural, the political, and the economic decline of the United States of America? Have anybody ever read that? Or understand what I'm talking about? Yes or no? Yes or no? Do anybody? Let's this is how we learn. We're gonna have a conversation. And this is why I'm telling you, you should want to be educated. Especially by your brother that's a Moor, that's done been through the fire. Yes or no? Yes or no, Moors? Yes or no? Yes or no? When I ask questions, is this a simple yes or no answer? If you have, then we're gonna have to elaborate on it. If you haven't, and then we're going to connect some dots. Have Moorish research that science. What I'm talking about. The Tavistock Institute of Human Relations, shaping the moral. Don't look it up right now. Asking a question. Shaping the moral, spiritual, cultural, political, and economic decline of the United States of America. Have us Moorish research that science. Yes or no? Come on, don't take that long to say yes or no, Moors. Solomon of Beer Bay said no. Come on, there's more people on here. Come on, we got to respond. Rasadi Assam said no. Okay, now, Murata, one of the emperors said yes. Okay, now, if you said yes, now I ain't saying just looking at it. I ain't saying just having it. Because, okay, so do we understand it? Because we can be tested on this, especially when school start back. And for my members, because we're going to be off here, we're going to be blocking a lot of people, and it's no disrespect to no one. But if we say we do, when I ask certain questions about this history, we can't act like a deer in the headlights. So you said no. Okay, thank you. She said, that's real. Hey, but that's real. Because when the person say they know something, that's like, if I ask you, do you know how to get somewhere? And I say, okay, well, show me the way. And you be like, what you mean? And you be like, what you mean? And I say, you say you know how to way? You say you got the map? You got the map, so show me the way. And the person can't show you way, it ain't no good. It's just a piece of paper. And that's what I'll be telling y'all. I know for a fact, most of these cats, I call it Wikipedia and Google University. They get stuff and they come in spookism. Nothing's new under the sun, historically. That's why I said, if you're really a teacher, you should be set things up so you can have your educational house. And we teach history, we teach science, we give the literature, we have the books, we have a body of people. We teaching. That's why I have the Burning Bush Tabernacle Moorish Science Temple in school. And watch next year, we're gonna have the physical temple in Arizona. And we're going to be going live from the school, a real school. But you see what I'm saying, y'all? That's what I'll be trying to tell y'all, like it's nothing new under the sun about this history I'll be telling y'all. I did this lecture on the college campus years ago, and I even had John Coleman. I got all his lectures. I told y'all, man, I used to play so many lectures on the college campuses, having them, no disrespect, Europeans and Albions, and even the so-called Negro blacks, jaw dropping out their mouth like, I got when I say old films, I got the author that wrote Black Athena. He did whole lectures on his books. I got a lot to prove exactly what I'm saying. All this stuff, social engineering, man, we got military, police, all this stuff is old. And that's why I be laughing at Moors. Why? Let me tell y'all something, what I do know. This is how a person get with this. Oh, I'm spiritual. This is what they do. Oh, I'm spiritual. I deal with my ancestors. Oh, man, you don't deal with no ancestors. You don't even know them. That's a lazy person to talk about, I deal with civics. You don't deal with no civics. Civics is law. That tell you they don't research and study. And that's a lazy man. And I ain't saying, when I say study, you must research and study, for you won't believe any book that you study. You must research the researcher. You should love to study. You should love to cross-reference. You should love to have a library. And then you get these people just talking. That's what a preacher do. Get you believe it, get you caught up in some faith. And then when they say, okay, well, whatever you talk about, give me some sources. Give me some sources. Give me some stuff in history. Don't tell me about no whole bunch of rituals and all that, because rituals don't work. If the agent ain't right, I don't care what nobody say. Give a damn about your ritual. Psh, I'm God. You can do all the rituals you want to. Don't mean nothing. And y'all know I'm telling the truth. All that outward body stuff. It really don't mean nothing. Because if my will is the same will as Allah's, he know my heart. Y'all, if y'all listen to the teachings I give y'all about that so-called doing them prayers, that's for the slave. Y'all ain't listening. So, let me give y'all some stuff when y'all research how old this stuff is. The Tavistock Institution for Human Relations, shaping the moral, spiritual, cultural, political, and economic decline of the United States. You know? No. Hell no, I hope you get no UCC1. Man, Noble, hey, like, let's write Perry's name down, because we got to, look, hey, y'all know what this all about. Hey, Perry, you should know better than that. You should know better than that, Perry. If you know law, you should even, man, you should know better than that. Do we help people get a UCC1? What's a UCC1? You see the stupid stuff? Talk about, I'll talk fast because you need to catch up. I broke down, Moors are confused because they're confused on navigation. UCC and UCC1 is a fraud. You should know that. If you don't know that, hey man, something wrong with you. Something wrong. I keep telling y'all, man, Moors you need to study the law, man. I done broke that down many times and showed Moors. You need to study law. You need to study with law, because UCC and UCC1, we don't need that. That's a fraud. And you should know that. And you should know that, Perry Holland, whoever you are. You should know that. That's elementary law. You should know that. And that's why I be saying I know people with their motive. This is my page. You will be blocked. No disrespect. When you ask something crazy like that, you know that's it. If you study in Moorish science, help you get a UCC1. What do you mean get you a UCC1? What's a UCC1? No, you're not. No, what's a UCC1? What's a UCC1? You're not getting an understanding. What are we going to do? If you come with that, what's going to happen? I'm going to scold you with the law and with the truth. Oh, that's going to happen. Because you came on my page. If whoever you studying with, you should know. Man, you should know how to do business. Man, if you don't understand that a UCC1 and a UCC1, we don't need that. You need to study your teachings. I done broke this down, how Moors are confused about navigating. Somebody telling you wrong. How am I doing? How you think I'm doing business? I'm a business. The same way the prophet do business. Man, listen, if you listen what I'm saying. If you study law, I tell Moors, all you have to do is study law. All you have to do is study international law. That's why I say, you ask questions to a teacher. If I just told you a whole bunch of stuff and you don't research it, am I telling you the truth? Am I telling you the truth? If you just want me to tell you something with no reference, and I tell you, you never research it, I think that's dumb. Don't get offended with the words that I use more. That's why I said a lot of us don't want to be educated. We want to be taught to the right way, and I ain't here for that. I ain't here to pacify you. That ain't how I teach. And if anybody don't like that, the same way you came on, you can easily go off. No disrespect, and take it how you want to. I'm telling you, if you study in Moorish science, and I hope you say you've been studying Moorish science for a while, why would you want somebody to help you do some UCC and some UCC1? What is that? Because when you talk about that expatriation, I don't think Moorish educated on the law. That's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying, Moors. That's why I say the first thing we should do is become a student. We want things done first. And I say it's prereqs. I know, thank you, Empress. Empress said we can be incompetent sometimes. I know we can, because that's human nature. When I talk about prereqs, everybody wants something and get something and get in trouble. Like I said, I don't have nothing to sell you. I cannot sell you something in the law that the law protects you. You must defend the Constitution. That's why I don't wear this black fez for no reason. I don't have my bay next to my all my ID and my college degrees and all that for no reasons. I didn't say that. See, I didn't say asking questions is stupid. Did I say that? That's what I'll be saying when I know we're in our lower self. When I know we're in our lower self. I said we should become a student first, because students ask questions. That's what I said. If we don't hear to listen, we listen. But I say if we're students, then we ask questions. Just like if you get in trouble and you want your legal service, which people get an attorney, which is stupid, you have to pay. You have to give them something for them to hear, for you can ask them questions. They ain't just going to answer your questions. I come back on here and do a service. Man, I have a real life. Everything I talk about, I have a real office. I do this in life. I do contracts. I do trust funds for not just no Moors, all in life. I have a real education. That's what I'm telling people. This is what I'm trying to explain. I ain't say nothing with no such thing with no dumb question. That's why I said my ears be open. And that's the thing that I know. Is we always in our lower self, and that's what we do. We try to attack our own brother, and I said we be so hard and so soft in the wrong places. Noble, well, you see what you're saying? I'm just trying to get to the private side. What the hell am I, man? I don't even know you. I'm telling you, hey, Noble, like I said, I'm about to delete you, man. You can get to the private side all you want. I got to delete. Man, that's crazy. Because that don't even make sense. Because you got to understand, you can't get one without the other. And that's what I be telling people, man. Get this guy out of here, man. I'm sorry. Because you missing the point. This guy missing the point. Let me hide that guy up. Let me get that guy out. Let me get him out the way. I hope he out the way. Because that's crazy. That's crazy. I don't even know you. You can do whatever you want to do. That'll make me no difference. Shit. Perry Holland, my guy, hey, and I got my guy on the other end looking everything up. He like, man, you want his address? No, I don't need his address. Psh, I don't need to look him up. I just block him. Thank you, Noble. Thank you, Noble, for doing that. Now you see how I tell us we don't listen, and we don't want to be educated. And when we start being educated and scolded, the first thing we start fighting because people have motive. All you got to do is listen to them and start digging. They'll tell you exactly their motive. They're not here for the science and help themselves and help their families and be better. You want to talk about the private side. And I just keep telling you, Moors are confused about navigating because they're confused on the national part. You come right in talking about some UCC and some UCC1. That's elementary. We don't need that. That's a fraud. I done taught that so many times. About Moors confused of navigating. I done taught that over and over and over, and we continue. That's why I said, are we that crazy? That's why I said the only way to study the laws is study the international law. You must understand the 13th, the 14th, the 15th Amendment till its entirety. You must understand all the religious laws. You must understand it all. And when you understand and read the law in entirety, what did I just say? I said, I know most Negro blacks in color and a lot of Moors do not read. I know this for a fact. How do I know? Because if I was a fraud, I could have just hustled that brother real fast. Because he's looking for some fraud. He's looking for a fraud. So when you're looking for a fraud will find you. Because you're looking for something that don't exist. Are y'all listening to what I'm saying? Are y'all listening to what I'm saying, man? Oh, I already blocked him. Oh, he been blocked. Islam, and that's what I tell people. You get scolded. You get all this people get all this false information. And I'm like, how many times do I teach this elementary? Go back on my page and look at Moors are confused and navigating. I'm not even finna do that again. That UCC and that UCC1, that's a fraud. That expatriation stuff, that's a fraud. That expatriation, all that's a fraud. I'm telling you, because when light starts to shine on darkness, man, the darkness, man, it get overwhelmed by the light. The light is too overwhelming. Didn't I tell y'all sometimes your power and your dominance is overwhelming. And that's great. I love that. I love that. I told y'all I do things in a certain fashion where we weed the weak out. That's what this is for. This ain't for no weak people. We do things in a particular fashion. All you have to do is talk to somebody. Just like my empresses, when you be courting a dude and you think he look good and all this, all you got to do is keep talking to him, keep dealing with you. He gonna tell you, you gonna see exactly who he is. He gonna tell you exactly what it is. It didn't even take long for him to reveal his true colors. He don't want to perfect himself. He want to talk about some private side. And I say, man, you have no idea about the private side until you understand the other side, the holy and divine creed. I done taught the basics as a more from the temple, like what we supposed to do. We supposed to teach our holy and divine creed. Everything else is international law. When I tell Moorish, you're a business where you can reclassify yourself in a certain fashion. Moorish not understanding it, man. That's why I say you Moorish need to see the power and how our prophet really set the temple up. When we talk about the duality of states, just like how I talk about how I set my charter up. Man, it's the verbiage, it's the duality of how we do things. Oh, you think our prophet was going around doing things illegally? How you think they had schools and buildings and things? They understood the tax laws. I keep showing y'all the Moorish Science Temple of America had a tax ID number. I demonstrate this all the time. I mean, Moors be missing it, and that's why we'll never have nothing. And you see individuals like Perry Holland always want some individual, and we'll see how he doing next year. We'll see how he doing next year, and it's just what it is, man. So when we talk about the Tavistock Institute of Human Relations, it found a profound effect on the moral, spiritual, and cultural, political, and economic policies of the United States. All this stuff is old. Much the same tactics were used by the social science scientists at Tavistock to get the United States into World War II, in the Korea and the Vietnam and Sariba, all those wars. It was all against Iraq. And the Tavistock began as a propaganda, creating and disseminating organizations at Wilmington House in London in the re-up to the World War I. I'm one to admit I've used to some, however, would you say, Noble? I came on your page because I heard you say some great stuff and been needing someone who was genuinely about the truth. Send me your email, Brother K. Williams. It's goodmancurry@gmail.com. It's on my page. It's on my IG page and all that. goodmancurry@gmail.com. One of the students, please put it up there, please, Morris. But what Tone B called the black hole of disinformation. On another occasion, Toynbee called Wellington House a lie factory. So the fall of dynasties, the Bolshevik Revolution, World War I and II, saw the destruction of old alliances and boundaries, the convulsion in religious morals, family, life, and economic and political conduct. All this stuff. So when you get to the Tavistock Institution of Human Engineering, when you start understanding science and all this stuff was programmed, I'm just going to give you some preface of what this is all about and ask yourself, does this sound familiar? Founding the world's premier brainwashing institution. That's page 1. Y'all hear that? Founding the world's premier brainwashing institution. So here it is, you have a body of rich people founding the world's premier brainwashing institution. What's brainwashing? Pseudo-academia. No disrespect. All Europeans are Albions talk about they some Rhodes scholars. Well, where they graduate from? When I showed y'all stolen legacy, when Socrates and Plato, all that was stolen Egyptian legacy. We proved all that. You know? You don't want to. We ain't pulling up on each other right now. Maybe when it's calm down, I'm gonna be in Vegas. I'll be in Vegas. I'll be in Michigan. I think I'll be in California at one of my homies' Twahedo churches. I speak all over. I told you, people ask me come speak from scholarship. I go, but ain't no pulling up right now, Noble. No pulling up right now. I don't want to see nobody. We gonna talk like this. But Europe's fall of precepts, or just that Eurocentric propaganda, how times were made to change, social engineering and the social scientists. Do we have what H.G. Wells called an invisible government? Mass communications usher in the polling industry, the making of public opinion, the making of public opinion. Y'all hear that? Degrading women and decline of moral standards. Degrading women and decline of moral standards. How individuals and groups react to blending fact with fiction. Did y'all hear that? Let me listen to this again. This UCC and this UCC1 stuff, you get people, this is the thing I tell people. Man, y'all get people caught up because they'll read a line or something. And I ask Moorish this. You think because a person can read a Black Law's dictionary that makes them capable to defend you in the court of law? In criminal law now. In criminal law, somebody, you done broke a crime, and somebody talk about, oh, I read the Black Law dictionary, all of them. I'll defend you in court. Would you let that Negro, would you let that so-called Moor defend you in court? With no experience, but he say, I read all the Black Law's dictionary. Yeah. Yes or no? Yes or no, Moors? Because see, and I'm going to start showing y'all all these photo ops. These dudes acting like they going to court defending some law. They lying. It's a thing called the Information Act. It's a thing called a doc number. It's a thing called the precedented law cases. You can look all that stuff up. All lying and frauds. I'll tell you who got warrants for their arrest. I can tell you that. It's 185. I can tell you. I can tell you who on that black sovereign list in red. Just like the feds got their drug list on the internet, I can show you every more on there with that black sovereign list. Got your plate number and everything. And the law is going to be everybody with a fake ID that be posting it on Instagram. Everybody that's on the internet asking that UCC1 and it's doing this, saying that you can do this. I keep telling Moorish, that's called domestic terrorism. You don't have to listen to me. It don't make no difference to me. Once the laws be enforced, then I bet you everybody come back on here was like, Noble. Everything the Moorish said was right. Because I can show you people locked up for it right now. What? Domestic terrorism. Right now. Right now. That's why I have to change my number. I'm telling you. But it is what it is. How individuals and groups react to blending fact with fiction. Let me say that again. How individuals and groups. What type of groups? Let's be honest. More science groups. Let's be honest, y'all. See, we're going to clean this house up. All these other groups, but let's start with our, not even, I ain't gonna say our, the guys that act like they Moors and they domestic terrorists. Individuals and groups react to blending fact with fiction. When you get the fact, you still want to roll with the lie. See? And you're not no damn sovereign, and you're not no sovereign citizen. That's an oxymoron. You ain't no sovereign and no citizen at no same time. All fraud. The paradigm shift in education. Lewin's doctrine of identity change. The induced decline of westernized civilization between two worlds. That's right. America is not a homeland. The media's role in propaganda. The media's role in propaganda. Scientific propaganda can deceive the very elect. Scientific propaganda can deceive the very elect. This their science, this their literature. Propaganda and psychological warfare. Psychological warfare. Psychological warfare. And let me show y'all what I talk about psychological warfare. That brother Perry Holland on there with that crazy stuff he just asked. I just want to do the private. That's psychological warfare. He playing with himself. He want to get in trouble so bad, and somebody gonna find him and get him in trouble. Just like when I said you looking for trouble, you can find it. He's looking for it, point blank, and you will find it, guaranteed. Wilson gets the U.S. into World War I thanks to propaganda. Is history being repeated? The case of Lloyd Bryce. The Black Art of Successful Lying. The Black Art of Successful Lying. Gulf War, 1991. The Soldiers Memorial and World War I cemeteries. Peace is not popular. The Tavistock Institution. Britain's control of the United States. Brainwashing saves a U.S. president. Tavistock's assault on the U.S. How media corp, politicians, actors, and singers are puffed. Huh? Here it is. Now, here, look, wait, let's rewind that. This old. Look, see how old this Tavistock Institution of Human Engineering is. Did y'all just hear what I just said? How media corp mean average. Like, you be like, how they get on? They ain't even good. How you think? Media corps, politicians, actors, singers, they all puffed. How Tavistock makes well people sick. You know what I mean? Just a few topics in this science where there's nothing new under the sun. Moors, I hope y'all don't let nobody get y'all in trouble, man. We've been going over law. I done went over and this the thing. If the Moor would have been on and just went on my page and looked at the law when I broke down the 13th and the 14th and the 15th Amendment, when I broke down Moorish confused on navigating, when I broke down that UCC and that UCC1 and that expatriation to the Black Laws Dictionary that they love to read, if you understood that, I guarantee you wouldn't be saying none of the crazy stuff that he was saying. I told you, Moorish, this is what I be telling you. If that brother was a student and all that stuff he thought, and I walked him through the 13th, the 14th, the 15th Amendment. I walked him through the Dred Scott Law. I walked him to the 18th, all those acts. All those different laws. All those different real laws in history. Then I show you that you have a right of a nationality and a right to change it. No one will be arbitrarily denied of a nationality and the right to change it. The claim of child replaces the birth certificate. Once I show you all this stuff in law, none of that fraudulent stuff you should want to do. None of it. Unless you just want to give somebody your money and be hustled. Nothing's new under the sun. So when we get into real Indian is the Negro, the AK Blackamoor, we're going to jump right into that. But let me set something for y'all. Remember, nothing's new. A lot of stuff, man, I talked about years ago in our science class. I had some good professors, man, especially I had some elders from Harvard and Cambridge. That's why I have a library with over 15,000 books that I know a lot of Moors don't have, that cost a lot. I had one professor that passed, one of my elders, and it's a European, Albion, and he had a whole library, and none of his kids is in science like me. And when he passed, I got all this literature, and I got some books that's like worth thousands of dollars. Like I got a book called The Russian Icana, books worth thousands of dollars, man. I got a lot of books. I got like 5 of the most hidden books in history. I got a book, it's called Saturn and something. When I looked on Amazon, that book was like $15,000. I was like, whoa. And then I started seeing how a lot of stuff, if you understand things, and if you introduce to something, you'll see a lot of stuff is fake. But the HAARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, that's something that was real. Like, this is stuff that's old. When I tell more, a lot of stuff is wrapped up in masonry and military and high-ranking things. And a lot of stuff that we say it's not new, and it might disturb some people. But if you understand that the United States always had a high-powered technology instrument that could control the weather and cause all type of different type of weathers and things, catastrophes, and even interrupt with the mind of human beings. All this stuff is old tactics, man. There's nothing new. When they did brainwashing in the military, none of this stuff is new. The instrument is what they call it, the HAARP. It's and why you think everybody was trying to go to the Alaska and all these into Gakuna, Alaska? I mean, this is information when you're a scholar. It got 180 antennas with radio waves strong enough to cause earthquakes. When I be talking about vibrations, man, I tell you, everything can be done with vibrations. And now I'm gonna relay it with individuals. I tell Moors, I operate on vibrations. When I go around a person, it only take me a few to see what angle you come in. And you're gonna tell me why, because I'm gonna pull it out of you. Just like what we did with Perry Holland. He baited, so he took the bait, and I kept going, and bam, there you go. And so we released him to the water, you know? And the radio waves are strong enough to cause earthquakes. And these antennas are controlled by military. It's no secret. HAARP is at 3.5 million watts, affecting specific concentrated areas of space. Yeah. HAARP can influence weather anywhere on Earth. Don't y'all know this? That's why the HARP project, it directs a 3.6 megawatt signal in the 2.8 by 10 megahertz, the region of the high frequency in that band, and into the ionosphere. And the signal may be pulse or continuous. Y'all understand that? Then the effects of the transmission and any recovery period can be examined using associated instruments, including VHF and UHF, radars, HFs, and optical cameras. So what am I talking about, y'all? I hope y'all see, it's nothing but spookism. When y'all talk about this 5G, when y'all talk about all this, and all this stuff is old. You think 5G is new, man? They got 50G. Man, I told you, a lot of times you be 50, maybe sometimes 100 years behind. 5G, come on, man. Come on, y'all should know this. But you don't have to get those technologies. You don't have to have the phone up to your ear. So anyway, it's nothing new. But according to HARP team, the study of basic natural processes that occur in the ionosphere under the natural but much stronger influence of the solar interaction, and how the natural ionosphere affects radio signals, frequencies. I'm telling you, just like vibration, high-pitched noises. Man, high-pitched noises, I can do a high-pitched noise to bust your eardrums. Just like dogs have high-pitched ears when they can hear certain things. But HARP can create earthquakes and tsunamis. We got to understand this. And America is going to invest in this technology. It must benefit them in some way. But how, Moors? My only thing, if you want to excuse, is to get in another country. And then you got to come up with some tactic that will give you a way to help those in a catastrophe that you caused. Like when I tell Moors, if I create a problem and I'm the creator of the problem, that means I got the solution to the problem. I want everybody to buy my solution. Why? I created the problem. Everybody buy my solution. Y'all ain't listening. The HARP induction magnometer. See, this is a device. It's used to measure the geomagnetic activity induced by the Alaskan HARP weapon. And see, when I be talking about things, man, I'm just into certain things that a lot of us are not into. I've been in the science and things for a long time, and in government and policy. And as you start researching from the royal libraries and things, man, you will see so much stuff, man. But all that, which has proven to produce earthquakes, began powering up around January 10th in certain times, and they call it a test. A lot of stuff be called a test, and then the power go down and snap back on. I'm telling you. How when the earthquake in Haiti, it happened 5 or 6 hours during those times. And what did the United States find out? That were some valuable resources in Haiti. Because I'm telling you, you want to crack the surface. Y'all ain't listening to me. Y'all are not listening. I'm telling you, there's a lot of things that we don't know. Look, man, when you start researching, man, and when you see how things are blow up, and when you think something just happened, things just don't blow up, you can use energy. Like say, and I'm gonna use another, you can use energy from HARP to pinpoint a certain part of the city that you want to depopulate. All you gotta do is look at the information. It's there in the law libraries. U.S. Secretary of Defense William Cohen was actually warning the U.S. in '97 that the United States government had developed and is now actively using a weapon that is capable of causing mass destruction by triggering earthquakes, weather modification, including heavy rainfall that causes floods, or no rainfall, which causes drought, volcano eruptions. That's Cohen. That wasn't me. That's William Cohen. Look him up. Cohen was warning us about the existence of HARP. I'm telling you. HARP was developed by Bill Clinton, Al Gore administration as a United States weapon of mass destruction. I mean, this ain't no secret. They gotta get, let me tell y'all something, man. When people do things, it's patents. It's patents on everything. When men make things, it's patents. Disease, everything. It's patents. Religion, everything. I hope Moors catch what I'm saying. HARP was built by Bill Clinton and Al Gore to beam what? Electromagnetic waves in the Earth's ionosphere to trigger what? Geophysical events such as earthquakes, climate modifications, volcanic eruptions, all that stuff. It was a congressional hearing records during the Clinton administration, and HAARP patents disclosed that HAARP beamings heats the ionosphere. As we all know, heat causes things to expand. We also know that heat rises. And as HAARP heats one part of the ionosphere expands and gets what? Elevated or pushed higher. And this HAARP ionosphere heating caused a controlled diverting or altering of the natural path of jet streams. I'm telling you, man. What does manipulating the jet streams have to do with manipulating the weather? The jet streams is literally a fast flowing, a jet speed stream of water vapor. The jet stream transport what? Atmospheric rivers of water vapor around the world. Are y'all seeing what I'm connecting the dots? The jet streams of vapor carry an amount of water vapor roughly equivalent to the average flow of water at the mouth of the Mississippi River. Research this. And when these atmospheric rivers make landfall, Moors, they often release this water vapor in the form of rain or snow. And by manipulating the jet streams, when we talk about pushing or pulling it off course, the HAARP can modify the weather. Why? Cause and effect. One of the 7 kinetic principles. Are y'all listening? The HAARP can alter the path of existing high pressure weather systems. What you mean? Clear skies or low pressure weather systems, storm clouds, anywhere on Earth, just by heating the ionosphere over the targeted region, Moors. HAARP can also create a column-shaped hole with a diameter of 30 miles that rises a couple of 100 kilometers through the atmosphere. If you're a scientist, the lower atmosphere then moves up the column to fill in that space, and it changes pressure systems below. Right, Moors? So I just wanted to touch on that. Yes, it's nothing new. And if you understand our teachings, and never was a time when man was not, it cleans itself out. And a lot of times, a lot of people go with the cleansing. It's just what it is. Because if nature have to agree with nature. But what I would just give y'all is a little crash course on things where we don't get caught up in spookism. We get caught up in history. We understand about that HAARP and all that stuff. We could touch on it, you know. But that's what I want us to be clear on. It's nothing new. I don't want to stay too far in that. So let's get into this real teaching. It's a lot, man. Like I told y'all, it's a lot of stuff that we don't have to talk about. How can I say? I don't talk about spookism. If I can't prove it with documents and things, it's a thing called the Free Information Act. I studied from the Library of Congress. And I told you, if you want to hide something from a Negro, black, or color, or a so-called Moor, put it in a book. All we'll do is do Google University. A lot of Moors Google. Then I say, well, give me the documents. We don't have them. And I say, well, I get the documents, because if they destroy everything, who's going to be able to replenish the earth with the science? If they burn all the libraries like when the British got in the war with the Americans and they tried to burn all the libraries like they did in Alexander, and Alexander the Greek tried to destroy all the books, who's going to have the science? What more is going to have the science? Oh, if they shut the internet down, it's no more internet. You can't Google nothing. You can't Wikipedia. What if the government start controlling what you research, like in China and certain places where they shut stuff down? What you going to do? Who's going to teach? Where are you going to be able to go to the body of the temple? You don't have one. See? Just imagine that, man. What if a person can't Google University like a lot of lazy Moors do all day, just Google it? Because I know most Moors don't read. Because if they, just like Perry Holland, and I'm going to keep using his name, if Perry Holland really was wanted to know about the private sector, Perry Holland would have been researching law. He would have been studying the 13th, the 14th, the 15th Amendment. Perry Holland would have been studying the UCC and the UCC1. Perry Holland would have saw that that's a fraud. He would have saw that. He would have saw it being a part of a body. There's nothing wrong with it, because then you protect it under certain laws. He would have saw that. But most of these Moors think they finna get some ID and they finna go squat in the house, or they getting ready to get a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. What do I tell y'all? That 1010 number, that's not no damn trust fund. How many times do I say it? Repeat after me. The 1010 number is not a trust fund. Repeat after me. The 1010 number is not no damn trust fund set up for no damn Moors. The 1010 number ain't nothing but a damn affidavit. You can research it in a CCRD, the County of Cook Recorder of Deeds, and you can get it for a fee. I'll show y'all. Stop letting people lie to y'all. The 1010 number ain't nothing but a religious affidavit of corporation. It's not no trust. Stop letting people lie to you. I hope I made that clear. Goodness. I hope I made that clear, man. I hope I made that clear. More need to understand the duality of the AA22 number. People getting caught up in stuff. And I say you will be caught up in fraud. And when the law is being enforced, you will be one committing fraud. Why? Because the Moorish Science Temple is set up with a 1010. You cannot print no ID, talk about some Moorish Science Temple of America, this, that, and the other. Why? Because it's an affidavit. It's set up in the County of Clerk, a CCRD, the 1010 number. So when people setting that stuff up, no, it ain't no trust. No, Empress. No. Ooh, Empress. I'm glad you on here. I done read the letter. How many times I done read the letter, y'all? The fake sheiks wrote the letter to the CCRD. I done read that letter 1,000,000 times, Empress. I'm gonna do it again before Sunday school tomorrow. I done read that letter. Hell no, it ain't no trust. That's a lie and a sin. Anybody saying that they a lie and a sin, and off with their head. No 1010 number, no damn trust. I read the letter 1,000,000 times. The 1010 number ain't nothing but an affidavit of incorporation. I'm gonna show you how the temple is set up. I promise you. So how can somebody make you some ID and do all this and want somebody to do this? It's fraud. It's fraud. And you see how so many people, Empress like yourself, think some 1010 is a trust, and see how Moors a lie to people. And I say, I said, prove it. Because I'll prove it 100 times. The 1010 ain't no damn trust. That ain't nothing but an affidavit set up by the CCRD. How the temple is set up. And anybody can pay a small fee. The CCRD just hold the records. And you can go to the CCRD and pay a small fee. I mean, I got the books over here, how the temple is set up. I got them over there. We're going to go over it tomorrow. That's why I say I go over this stuff over and over and over. And I'm like, I don't think it's catching. And I'll be like, I don't think Moore's catching it. Because they continue to get in trouble. They continue going in jail with this fake Moore stuff. And I'm like, huh? And I'm like, that's crazy. That's crazy. And if any more telling you it is, Empress, I PDF you the paper. I'll show you everything. It's all a sham. Point blank. Point blank. So I start off with a little bit of the real Indian is the Negro, the AKA Blackamoor. I'm not going to go too far. I'll probably get 20 minutes in and I'm going to stop. But when we talk about the ancient Akufic script, when I talk about this script right here, we got to know what this is. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that sign and symbol real fast for a minute. Remember, I tell y'all, Moors, I can care less what your religion is. What I do know is that a lot of people will hide stuff from you. Hey, Isis, can you look over there in that flower pot right there where that case at and hand me that little red book? It's a little red book. But these writings, the written and sent, all this stuff was written and sent to the ministry of Islam in the wilderness of North America by Elijah Muhammad, servant of Allah, dated 4/2/1936, and then it was reissued 1/18/1963. What I'm about to show you is that a lot of these religious people have this stuff, but a lot of people start burying the teachings. Like when I talk about the supreme wisdom, it's a lot of stuff in here is valid. It's a lot of real science in here. Just like when I talk about the clock of destiny, I don't get caught up in the man. I get caught up in the science. The clock of destiny can be refuted. But we talk about that ancient Kufic script, right? Yeah, thank you. It's where? Right on the pocket. Thank you, Noble. The Arabic language before the modern Arabic came in general use. The example dates from approximately 700 AD, right? And it's in Nevada, where it was mistaken for the Amerindian markings of about 1000 BC. But it is actually a religious text and reads Nabi Allah Muhammad. Allah's prophet is Muhammad. It was probably cut in the rock as part of the permanent school lessons of the Muslims, settlers of the of the Southwest. Sample of the work from Saga, America by Barry Feld, The Origin of the Kufic, and the angular style of the Arabic script is traced back to about 100 years before the foundation of Kufa. So I want us to understand that. So let's set the highlight. The purpose of writing is to provide the student with some of the most important secret histories directly related to the misnomer black people or the misnomer Latino and Mexican that pertain directly to the subject and discussion of reparations and restorations. Remember, before we can get any reparations, we must restore ourselves back to who we are. That's all of us, one nationality and many cultures under one flag. You're not nothing by yourself. The forbidden idea in America is this, Moors. It is never to allow our nation of misnomered black people, misnomered Mexican and Latinos, to know we are indigenous to this land. Yes, we were and are an indigenous nation, and this is the history we have not known. This science is designed to be a study tool and to spark an interest in further scholarly studies on our indigenous past and its connection to the reparations and restoration movement. The same thing what our prophet was doing. America are ancient and very real. They are prior to any settlement of Europeans who verify this in their records. Get your pens, man, because I'm about to give you all the stuff to look up for yourself. When we talk about the Negroes as the original Indians, and we talk about this proof in the Jesuit letters, the book Africans and Native Americans by Jack Forbes, he paints a very different picture of the history than what most of the U.S. and what we were taught in these schools about black people in the Western Hemisphere, Moors. We were taught that black people came from Africa as slaves, and the Red Indian was the true Native American, and the white people took black slaves from Africa and stole the land of the Red Indians, right? Ain't that what they be telling y'all? The story is nothing but a giant fiction, a novel made up by white historians to deceive the masses about the original history and peoples of the Americas. And the author Jack Forbes uses the letters of the Jesuit missionaries to prove that Negroes or black Moors were the first Americans, and in fact were the black and olive tone people found in the Western Hemisphere, commenting from the Jesuit letters on the appearance of the Native Americans. Watch this. Let me show y'all something, and we're going to proceed. Y'all see what this is right here? This is the Webster's 1828 dictionary. The 1828 Webster's dictionary. So watch this. We're going to go to American. And listen to what I say, what American is. So you can know for yourself. American, a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or the copper-colored races. The copper-colored races found here by the Europeans. You ain't found nothing. We was already here. So let's say it again. American, a noun, a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of the Europeans born in America. Wow. I ain't even told you what the Hellenistic language was, but that's a whole nother teaching. So watch this. This is what he states. The appearance of the Native Americans. This is what Forbes states. For example, in 1519, it was said of the Brazilians, I ain't gonna talk in Spanish, but anyway, what he was saying is that is, they are not black or white, but of olive color. What? But of olive color. What I just said what American was. But the same writer remarked that the Brazilian canoe men he saw were so black, here we go, copper color, so black that they could have been taken for the sailors of the sea, of the Styx in hell. Black as gypsies, blackamoor, Berber, whatever you want to connotate it. The author continues his comments on the appearance of the natives in North America from the Jesuit letters. In 1524, the Carolina coast people were said to be of dark color, not much unlike the Ethiopians. The terms Negro and Indios were used interchangeably to describe the natives in the journals of the early missionaries, who could not have possibly been referring to Africans. Y'all ain't listening. From 1542 through 1565 Moors, the letters of the Jesuit missionaries in Brazil usually addressed the colleagues of Portugal or Spain, frequently refers to the Americans as Negroes, to the Americans as Negroes, to the Americans as Negroes. In April of 1542, Manuel de Nobrega, the leader of the Jesuits, addressed a letter from Baja to Simia Rodriguez in Lisbon, in which he refers to the Portuguese in Brazil as living in sin because of their having many negras, N-E-G-R-A-S, and lots of children by the said black women. Thus the Jesuits' father called the American woman living with the Portuguese men negras or negras, a term which according to Leaf could not have denoted people from Africa, because in 1549 there were few or no African women in Bahia, B-A-H-I-A. That's right. That's right. This is their pen. That's right, Noble. That's right. Nonetheless, Nobrega uses the word Indio. When Africans are referred to in the Jesuit letters, they are always called Negros de Guinea, blacks of Ghana or Ghana, to distinguish them from Negros de Terra, blacks from the land or Americas. Are y'all listening to me? Two different. A very interesting letter is one prepared by Dos Minos do Calillo de Jesus da Bia. I want y'all to write this name down. I might be pronunciating it wrong, but I'm saying it in Spanish. D-O-S space M-E-N-I-N-O-S space D-O space C-O-L-E-G-I-O space D-E, another space J-E-S-U-S, another space D-A, another space B-A-I-A. And I'm spelling it for you. You can research this. By a young American studying in the school, Diego Tipiamba. He was studying in the school in Quintia. And this letter was edited by a Jesuit. And this may represent the first letter written by Americans in a European language from Brazil. And in it, they refer to the American leader, El Grillo, as a Negro. Ooh. And to other natives as Negroes. Ooh. See, this is good stuff, man. This is real history. We find, for example, Moors, that El Grillo, who is a Negro very well known and feared amongst them, and that El Grillo is Negro muy grave. El Negro was the same time an Indi pagan and a friend of the Portuguese. Oh yeah. Y'all ain't know that? In August 1552, Nobrega wrote from Bahia, which is South America. When y'all be seeing this stuff in writing, this how I know Moors don't know what it is, because B-A-H-I-A is nothing but South America. And Lisbon is nothing but Portugal, referring to the native peoples as Negroes. So here it is, you got people in South America and Portugal labeling people as what? The native as Negroes. In May 1554, Antonio Blaquis from Porto Ciro wrote the Jesuits of Cumbria that is, he was preaching to the Americans called Negroes. He also referred to the Negroes and the Los Malusas. He referred to the Negroes. He referred to them as Negroes. Negroes and Negras. He meant Indios and Indias. The history as recorded by their own white hand. Listen to me. This is their pen. History recorded. This is their science. History recorded by their so-called own white hand. Bear witness that the black people are the indigenous and the first Americans. America stemming from the intercourse of Vespucci and Columbus with indigenous blacks in Central America, or Moru. They use things to describe the Negroes, which stem back to the Kara, the Al-Quran, the Arabic word Mamaluk or Mamaluk, M-A-M-L-U-K. And it also shows that the indigenous Moorish presence in the Americas. And this history spanned from the first encounters of the Europeans with our ancestors to the establishment of the United States of America and the Revolutionary War period. I'm telling you. I'm gonna show y'all a picture, then I'm gonna read the caption of the picture. I'm gonna give y'all a quick history lesson. A lot of people don't even know what the picture we looking at, but I'm gonna tell you what this picture looking at. Remember, man, a lot of stuff is in libraries, and I'm gonna give you history so you don't let nobody get you caught up in no garbage. And then we operate out of the unit and the school and the body, and the laws will protect us. And next year, people gonna be looking in our world. They're gonna be looking on the outside, looking in. So I'm gonna read that caption to you. Now look, if y'all, man, look, I'm gonna show y'all something. If you can see clearly, if you see clearly in the picture, you see the little Moorish boy with the declaration in his hand. Look, I'm gonna put it close to you. I'm gonna see, you see that Asiatic little brother in the blue jacket? Let me, y'all see that little brother in the blue jacket? You see the little brother in the blue jacket? This their paintings, man. And when you get the big paintings in the museums, he's clear as day, his skin is copper. Even in the book here, the little picture, his skin is copper. Clear as day, you can tell it. I'm looking at it. All the age, I'm looking at it clear as day. You can come look at the picture, clear as day. Let me put that, man. This is, let me see, let me put it close. There you go. Y'all see that, brother? Y'all see that little brother? You see how dark his skin is? Look at everybody else, pale. Look at the other Asiatics in the back. Look at the little brother. Look at the little brown. Look at the little copper-colored little boy. Look at that little boy right there. Y'all see that copper-colored little boy right there? Look at that little boy. Huh? Come on, let me get it. Let me put up there a little better. I'm telling you, man. So the Dutch artist, Jan Verslett, Janverelst, painted these paintings of the so-called Mohawk chiefs who visited London in 1710. The paintings were housed in Kensington Palace. Where? In Kensington Palace. Wait till I get the temple. All in our temple, I'm gonna have all these stuff that's in the museums on our walls for you can see, and it's gonna be a walking museum. It's gonna blow your mind. I got so much stuff, man. Kensington, which is an area in Philadelphia named after this place, held the original name Shakamaxon, Shackamaxon, Shakamaxon, Shaksum, Shaksum, AKHSUM, meaning the black spiritual priest of God. The black spiritual priest of God. Shakamaxon. The original name of the Mohawk is Kanikat, K-A-N-I-A-N with a dash K-A, which resembles Canaan. Kanaka. Yeah, in Philly, that's right. Which resembles Canaan. Israel, Phoenicians. I'm gonna connect all these dots. The center picture is the chief of the Creek Confederacy, Tomochichi, and members of his nation in England. This is 1736, having intercourse with James Oglethorpe, James Ogletthorpe. Then he was the proprietor of the colony of Georgia. Y'all ain't listening to me. This real history. The language of the Indians, aka Negroes, Eloquent in Arabic, are essentially the same language, which goes back to the Meta Nether and the hieroglyphics, the ALGONQUIAN, and the Arabic, all the same language, which goes back to the Meta Nether. The Epigraph Society. When we talk about the Epigraph Society, while examining the Alcuin materials in the Peabody Museum, in his collection, it's in Harvard University, my attention was drawn by Mr. Joseph's Germano horizontal lines of the script, the letters in black. When we started looking at these scripts, what you can see is that, man, the ancient Arabic or the Arab city of Palmyra in Syria, a rival of Rome, totally destroyed by the Emperor Ornelius. And when you start looking at these languages, man, and these texts, it blow your mind. When you start looking at the Arabic form and all these modern forms and all these different languages, you can start piecing things together in history. Because no disrespect, no European had no language. Nanacoke Moors, the Lunope people, the Lenape or Lenape, Nanacoke Moors. The chief tribe of the Wabanaki Confederation of the Moors was the Delaware of the Luna or the Lenabe. Were they black people and our African Americans, the descendants of those Moors? I'm gonna show y'all William Penn eyewitness accounts of the Lenape, Nanacoke Moors. Here go William Penn's in his writings. The first detailed description of the Delawares is in a letter from William Penn to the Committee of the Free Society of Traders in 1683. He wrote, and I quote Moors, "For their persons, they are generally tall, straight, well-built, and of singular proportion. They trim strong and cleaver, and mostly walk with a lofty chin, of complexion, black, but by design, not made up, mean we were born black, that's, black by design, as the gypsies in England." So, when I told y'all the Moors was all in England, when I say the European Moors, as the gypsies in England, so what they telling you? The Egyptians in England, the Moors in England, they greased themselves with bear's fat, clarified, and using no defense against the sun. Did y'all hear me? And using no defense against the sun or weather, their skin must be swarthy. And then I tell you all the history about swarthy pie or black Pete in the Netherlands, when a European dressed up in blackface. I'll teach you all the history. They're really praying you. William Penn to the Committee of the Free Society of Traders, that was in 1683. I'm gonna show you a monument of Chief Tamnum the Blackamoor, Chief of Turtle Island, Shakamaxim, Philadelphia. I'm gonna show you that. When they put stuff right in your face and we don't be knowing what we be looking at. But if you ask a historian and a scholar, I bet you he'll laugh and ask you who you talking to. I bet you they'll break the science down, because everybody know the history of the Moors, but Negro, blacks, and color. That's why. Sons of Saint Tammany, aka Sons of Liberty, worship a Moorish chief. Look what he's standing on. Look, man. Don't let nobody get you caught up in their garbage because they're not gonna do no research. Y'all see that? All this symbolic stuff. All this stuff is symbolic. And if you don't know the signs and symbols, that's on you. Even when I talk about the three-branch system, it was copied from the Moors, the so-called Delaware, Lenape, Nanacoke of the Moors. All the stuff was copied. I'm gonna show y'all a picture of Chief Blackhawk. And who do he look like? When I say, don't he look like Elijah Muhammad? Look at the picture. Look at the elders. You see that? Don't they look striking familiar? So let's read the science. Chief Blackhawk was chief of the Shock or the Shock. His birth date was unknown. The name Blackhawk is reminiscent of the Black Hawk or falcon of Kemetic tradition, representing Horus or Heru, the resurrected son of Osiris, the anointed one. Blackhawk was born Makata Meshishka, Makataimeshekih, Mashiach, M-A-S-H-I-A-C-H, is the Hebrew word for Messiah. It literally means the anointed. As we can see, this is a part of his time. So his last public appearance was ironically July 4th, 1837. And it was a special day in the ancient Moorish Israelite. Did y'all hear what I said? Connecting to science, it was an ancient day in the Moorish Israelite. The Moorish Israelite, the Egyptian culture, in respect to what? Astronomical science. When I show y'all his attire is in the painting, it's very Moorish in tradition. Look at the black chief attire. Look at his attire. Look at this attire, man. Come on, man. Y'all should be getting chills, man. Black Hawk was a terror for the whites in the 1800s and is part of a legacy of black people, Moorish people, who have been written off under the Red Indian history and disassociated from black people and their lineal ancestors, of which they are. The resemblance to Honorable Elijah Muhammad is strikingly similar. Look at the resemblance of him and Elijah Muhammad. Look at this. Look at the resemblance. Come on, man. Let's finish demonstrating. We doing history, man. United States allegedly for the purpose of exploring the unknown territory from the western edge of colonies to the Pacific. The true intentions was to spy on the indigenous people who were in the Americas prior to the European invasion and colonization. Captain Meriwether, write this down, Captain Meriwether Lewis and Lieutenant William Clark of the United States Army used a black man named York, who was also the son of Yusuf bin Ali, along with a native woman named Sisani Sakawi or Sakagwai, found on a millennial edition of the dollar bill, with her son John Baptiste to be their interpreters as they gather intelligence. You can research this in the book in our science, The Return of the Ancient Ones, where Empress Thierry Verdi's the Washita Moors report. Remember Lewis and Clark, and they documented everything in sight. They documented the weather, the plants, the rocks, the minerals that they found, the people by tribe, the habits by color, by warlike activities, and it was documented a bushy-headed tribe who did not like the red man or the white man, the black bushy-headed Washitas. Now please explain, Moors, why history did not make us aware of this important fact. Because when you research Lewis and Clark documents, it's there. It was because they went to spy on the Washitas, a people that had good old United States had signed to be their protectors over their rights, their land, and their property. John Sibley reports in the Lewis and Clark documents, Choctaw, there are rambling hunting parties of them to be met with all over Louisiana. They are at war with the Caldis, Caldougies, and liked by neither the red nor the white people. I'm going to show you a picture of Tahorda and Makiash. I'm showing y'all two pictures when all this stuff be in the museums. All this stuff be in the museums, man, they be hiding from you. They be painting pictures of our chiefs and they try to hide them. And then they try to whitewash them. I'm gonna read that caption to you real fast. To the right is Makashak, another chief with an Aramaic Hebrew name. Manashak or Manashka means the one with man horns. The one with man horns. And the painting shows, and it represents his chiefdom. He and his father were recorded to have been in 18 battles with the United States and never lost one. He and his father were allies of Black Hawk or Makataka Meshka. He traveled with his father to Washington, D.C. in 1824 to meet with President John Quincy Adams. The Secretary of State was Henry Clay. These two, Adams and Clay, were later ordered by Abdur Rahman Ibn Hisham to release Abraham Ibn Sori, the Prince of the Slaves, in 1828. Abraham had been touring all over the West, speaking with these chiefs about the laws that were being used to free him under the Moorish status. In 1840, the governments made many treaties with the Native Americans and land deals in Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Kansas. John Quitman and Eliza Tunick, the father and mother of our Prophet Noble Jew Ali, among many other family members, were a part of these transactions and interactions. After Lewis and Clark's spy mission, the United States brought 59 European families into the Louisiana Territory under the guard of the United States Army. The military poisoned the water supply with the intent of murdering off the original indigenous black population. They brought their school curriculums as they enslaved and murdered the black populations, making claims that the indigenous peoples, were fugitives from justice under the constitutional law and were European property from Africa. However, the people did not consider themselves by nationality or status as Africans until after this was breeded into their conscience. The indigenous people in Africa did not originally call themselves Africans. They were of Tamari and were Moors. This word African is a word of the white colonizer. It's evidence of this deceptive activity to falsify our status that is undeniable. It was a part of the plan to wipe out our indigenous history in America. The names like Tunick and Washita were turned into Turner and Washington. Don't you all know all the wars that happened with the Moors? You had a war with the Moors in 1752, the so-called French and Indian War, were wars between the Moors, the Black Knights Templar families, and the Aboriginal Moors versus the British colonists and Great Britain. In 1776, the sons of Saint Tammany allied with the Moors to fight against the British colonists and Great Britain. Some of the British colonists infiltrated the Moors and the Sons of Liberty, aka the Sons of Saint Tammany, in order to overthrow the Moors. They were people like Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Andrew Hamilton, Benjamin Franklin. Moors titled Negroes by the United States. Here go another statement from General Thomas Jessup. This you may be assured is a Negro, not an Indian war. And if it be not speedily put down, the South will feel the effects of it on their slave population before the end of the next season. Major General Jessup, June 1837, in the American State Papers, Military Affairs, he cited, and I quote, in Kenneth W. Porter, The Negro on the American Frontier, New York, 1971, page 251 and 281. And I quote, if the war be carried on, it must necessarily be one of extermination. We have at no former period of our history had to contend with so formidable an enemy. No Seminole proves false to his country, nor has a single instance ever occurred for a first-rate warrior having surrendered. Throughout my operations, I have found the Negroes the most active and determined warriors. And during the conferences with the Indian chiefs, I ascertained they exercise an almost controlling influence over them. The Negroes rule the Indians. Huh? What y'all talking about? Many of the original black inhabitants began to flee from the Western Territory, and many inhabitants sought refuge in Florida, and some went further west to California and mingled with other unaffected indigenous populations. In 1816, a U.S. colonial named Duncan Clinch led an army into Florida to destroy what was called the Black Fort, or Fort Negro, right? Duncan Clinch led an army of Red Creek missionaries and a U.S. army into Florida to destroy Fort Negro. Researched in a book called The Black West by William Cox. This is what he says in the letters, y'all. The explosion killed almost all of his blacks and red warriors and 200 women and children. The few warriors were led back to the United States as slaves. In his initial orders, General Jackson had asked that they not only destroy the fort, but return the stolen Negroes and property to their original owners. Now we're getting ready to get into the meat and the potatoes. Listen to this. The question you should be asking yourself, Moors, did these aboriginals see themselves as slaves, foreigners or property of the Europeans, as Africans, Negroes, or colored people? Absolutely not. In Duncan Clinch's report of the battle at Fort Negro, Moors, the first U.S. invasion of Florida, the information provides facts to the contrary. This is what Clinch's report reads. Listen to this, y'all. Fort Negro, 1816. In the evening, a deputation of chiefs went into the fort and demanded its surrender, but they were abused and treated with the utmost contempt. The black chief heaped much abuse on the Americans and said he had been left in command of the fort by the British government and that he would sink any American vessel that should attempt to pass it and would blow up the fort if he could not defend it. The chief also informed me that the Negroes had a red flag and the English Jack was flying over it. So the next question you got to ask yourself, were these people former slaves? Probably not. Of course not. What was their purpose for flying the two flags that they were flying? Why? Because slaves, they don't have flags, do they? Don't the flag represent a nation? What nation were they representing when they were flying the flag, Moors? Remember, it was also cannons in use at Fort Negro. And it's a well-known fact in history that the cannon was developed by the Moors in North Africa and Spain. When I tell you that the Moors not only made the fire stick, but even the cannon was forged from raw iron. So you got to understand in history, man, that these two flags represented Great Britain and the indigenous Moorish Empire, Moors. They represented a nation of indigenous Moors. And this is the same Islamic empire in the east that Abu Bakr, brother of Mansa Musa, was under when he brought 400 ships to the Americas in 1311 AD. Is it the flag that the chief was flying at the Black Fort in Florida in 1816, Moors? Was there a continuous Moorish connection from 1311 with the arrival of Moors from the east, which is documented in Africa and America until 1816, Moors? The documented dates from the presence of contemporary Eastern Moors go far back at 700 AD. We shown the inscription. When I showed y'all the inscription from the ancient Nevada schools bearing the name of Muhammad as the prophet of Allah, I showed y'all that all at the beginning. Even our prophet Noble Jali tell us, what kind of flag is the Moorish flag? It's the red flag with the green pointed star in the middle. The star was adopted or was added. The star was added by the colonizing French authority to the Moorish Sharifian flag in Morocco. This happened November 17th, 1915, after France's colonial occupation began. And before this period, it was a completely red flag, Moors. It represented the Muslims, the Moors of the Maghreb, West Africa, and the Americas, who were traveling back and forth from Africa to America, who were established as indigenous to both lands. And many of the Maroons, the Jamaican Maroons, who were amongst the natives, were called Seminoles, were Muslims, Moors, who had an ancient presence in the Americas. And the chief of this fort, called Fort Negro, was a man of Manding descent. And the Manding were and are the West African Muslims. And Manding groups founded medieval empires of Ghana and Mali. They included the Bambara, the Daila or the Dula, the Malanik, the Mandi, the Dogon, the Sinki or the Sanki. The chief at Fort Negro during the invasion of Colonel Clinch was named Abraham. His birth name was Sonuf Tustanugi, which meant Swahili warrior or Swahili warrior, and has been associated with the Swanee River in Florida. And the Moorish Manding Arabic word Sonuf means powerful spirit, and Tustanugi means warrior. And his chief, who had a Moorish heritage like most of the Maroons in Florida, was not a former slave, Moors. And his lineage went back to indigenous people. And Abraham served as the interpreter for the Seminoles and as a legal counsel for Hema Miko, John Jumper, and Halata Miko, Chief Billy Bowlegs. And Hema Miko was the Seminole chief. His brother Holoda Miko was also a chief. And Abraham served as a representative on the trip to Washington, D.C. to negotiate a treaty with the United States government in 1832. I'm setting a picture of history, man. Sanofi Tuskegee, also known as Abraham, was a Maroon or a Mo. You know how we call it? What up, Mo? What up, Mo? Amongst the Seminoles. He was their chief legal counsel and interpreter. It was he who was at Fort Negro in 1816. Aya Asha Aya. Indeed, noble. In 1816, flying the Moorish flag of the Islamic empires. This is the famous cherry tree that was chopped down. Abraham moved west to Oklahoma, and Chief Halota Miko and Chief Hema Miko disappeared in the Everglades. And this was the start of the Penn Secret Society and other secret society amongst the Creek and the Cherokee, which was the Saragi, Saragi. And these are the societies that later developed into the ancient Egyptian Arabic orders of nobles of the Mystic Shrine and the Moorish Science Temple of America. See how they got these pictures? They try to hide the pictures from y'all. See that? And I told y'all, the laws tell you, we the people of the United States, and we the people. When I tell us, it's we the people. If we're going to do things, everything should be the same. We the people. So what is the connection to the Americas? Oh, we almost done. We got 20 minutes. So what is the connection to the Americas in the modern time and history and the efforts of our great teachers? What we must do, like our Prophet Noble Drew Ali did, what I'm doing today as a historian and a Moor, we got to repair our people. We got to repair our people. I mean, it's people that did interviews back in the day. I can remember an interview by Muhammad Speaks newspaper. It was March 23rd, 1971, by Brother Fletcher Majid. He was a member of the Nation of Islam. This was the 1930s. And he served witness that these ancient histories were taught openly by Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the Nation of Islam. I'm telling you, because I told y'all they passed this out in the 30s and the 60s. I'm telling you. And then they switched it up when they got that money. And he speaks of this same red flag from a lecture he heard from Elijah Muhammad in the early 1930s. Man, go on my page when I show you all the Founders Day, when Farrakhan gives credit to Elijah Muhammad. But he talked about these teachers in the 1930s, which will serve when he speaks on a red flag from a lecture he heard from Elijah Muhammad, you know? And it will serve proof that Elijah Muhammad was well aware of the secret relationship that Islam has with the establishment of the American government and the prehistory of the American government. I'm telling you. Brother Fletcher Majid said he came to the Odd Fellows Hall at 33rd and State for the first time in the fall of 1933. The messenger told us about this white man, John Hawkins, and how he brought our forefathers here. He said that John Hawkins anchored his ship. Which ship? The slave ship of Jesus of Lambeth. Sir Hawkins, research the slave ship of Jesus of Lambeth. The slave ship Jesus of Lambeth, Lambech, down the Nile River. He was flying our flag. He was sailing the banks of the Nile River where our people were doing trade. Our flag was flying. Our flag was red, freedom, justice, and equality. When he got to sea, they lowered our flag. Why you think all Europeans that's Mason, they got all the signs and symbols of Morocco and everything on there? And they sons of Muslims. That's how they were able to do business with you. The Moors dominated trade in this period. Trade was dominated by Moors from the west, the north coast of Africa to the Gulf of Mexico before the Inquisition of the Spanish and the slow deterioration of the Moorish and the Islamic influence. Even in the 1700s, Moors, the royal was the unit of currency used in Mexico, which is the present standard currency of Saudi Arabia. So when we get deeper in this history, man, you will see all the stuff what they did. The trade became fully interrupted when the United States developed an independent Marine Corps and Navy in the 1800s. They fought wars against the Moors. That was the Barbary Wars and the War of Ferdinand and Isabella, and eventually won out in its confrontations. They later fought wars against our people in Mexico. The hymn of the Marines declares that they have fought from the halls of where? From the halls of where? Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. Where you think they at? Referring to the exploits by the United States Marine Corps in the Mexican War and the campaigns against the Barbary pirates or the Barbary Moors. Those barbaries, corsairs, everything is all the same. Pirates, they call them, and some of the so-called Mexicans, they were Moors. The black maroons, the Moors from Florida, who had set up communities in Mexico in the 1800s. The cannons was also found amongst the so-called Mexicans, which was a signature weapon of the Moors and the Maroons of Florida at places like Pelacayac, a city built by the Maroons. Moors in Florida and Fort Negro, where the black Moorish chief Sanuf Tuscanigi Abraham was captured by Duncan Clinch. He had about 200 men. General William J. Worth captured the road between Monterey and Saltillo, and by noon was storming Federation Hills. 6 companies of Texas Rangers charged up the hill, seized the enemy's artillery, and turned the cannon on retreating Mexican forces. I can go on, man. The indigenous blacks in Mexico went under many names like Mestizo, Mestizo, Cholos, Cholos, Negroes, and even Indian. The term Marine comes from Mari. Remember I tell you every time somebody try to take you out, they try to use your name? Mari, M-A-R-E, or Mar, which in Latin implies as a navigator of the waters and also means black. So the Marines took the names of the people they were conquering, the Moors or the Moors, the M-A-U-R-S, a signature move of the grafted people. The history of the interactions of the Moors with the European English is extensive. Our purpose in this teaching, what I'm giving, I'm trying to give us information. When we talk about the subject of reparations, you need to understand the history and generally highlight the international laws that are of extreme importance. Negro, black, and color, you was always a slave. That's the Dred Scott Law. You're never going to get no freedom, never no reparations. Our ancestors have made many international treaties with the English for the protection of their sensory and made regulations. The Moors of the eastern part of Islamic Empire, whose capital was seated in the western portion of Africa, which was Maghreb, had 2 treaties with the Queen of Elizabeth the First of England, early as 1578. Islam had a major impact on Great Britain from 1558 until 1685. And this is documented by the researcher Nabli Matar in his Science, Islam in Britain. And this explains why John Hawkins would have been trading amongst our people, flying the flag of the Moors, just like the European wear the fez, and the Negro Mason wear the fez in clandestine, in secrecy. The red flag of our ancient Moorish nation, the Nation of Islam. These original black people are our ancestors. There were international agreements between these nations, and this flag indeed represented an independent nation and a lineage that spanned back to the 18th dynasty. Of Egyptian, called often the Bana of Israel, or the Bana of Israel, the offspring of Israel, the family of Amran. Research in our Quran, Surah 3, Amaran, see your Quran, Surah 3, Amaran, A-M-R-A-A-N, and beyond. The Moors were international in our commerce, and many of the members of this notion have settled in America. As we noted earlier, Abu Bakari, the elder brother of Mansa Musa, took 400 ships to the Americas, early as 1300s. Moors, when you understand geographical landmass and maps, let me show y'all something. Y'all see this? I'm gonna read that to you. That's the Atlantic Ocean, and it wasn't a barrier for our people. We were and are indigenous to both land masses. It was the black indigenous population of Moors in the West that suffered a death blow from colonizing Europeans. You see when I do this? You see when I do this? I hope y'all know what that means. When I'm using their language, we know what silver, we know that, but we're teaching, we're educating. But throughout the 16th and 17th centuries, while Spanish and Dutch and French and British and Portuguese Christians were conquering the indigenous populations across the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean, Islamic military power pushed the Ottomans and their North African satellites, their regencies of Tunisia, Tripoli, which was Libya, and Algeria, along with the Empire of Morocco beyond the Mediterranean, as far as the walls of Vienna into the English channels. This is the detail by most. This history hasn't been known by most. And it's at the root of the rise of the Europeans in the Western Hemisphere. Islam was on the rise in the East, in Europe. And as the colonizers left for freedom of religion, and the freedom that they wanted was the freedom from the oppression of Christianity. They found this in the West through interaction with the ancient Moorish Empire in America. Their expansion into the West, which was the Europeans, they had buried the knowledge of the ancient indigenous Moorish Empire in America. And that map that I showed you, it shows the oceanography and the general oceanic, the currents of the Atlantic. It shows how our ancestors, which are the indigenous people, the so-called black people of the Americas and the East, were aware of the currents and used them to trade and travel across the Atlantic from the Americas to Africa and Europe. That's how certain things that were indigenous to certain lands you find in mummies. Watch how I explain this. History proves that some of our people were brought over as slaves. However, most of them were not. Right? It's a lot of history that shows that. A lot of prisoners of war were taken from the geographical areas of the Moorish Empire. And the action of enslaving the Moors and the Muslims by white Americans and British was a violation. It was a violation of the international law and the treaties. Civilian Diouf, Sylviane, Diouf, Diouf. It's a book called Servant of Allah. If you can't get it, I'll give it to y'all for a donation. Research it, Service of Allah. It points out that nearly 60% of the captured people during what we call slavery were Muslims. Most of us have not taken in this knowledge and perspective of the history. They always try to say some Muslim war, but they know it's a war against you. This ain't no radical stuff. This ain't no al-Islam. This is part of the fact that the curriculum that have been given to us by Europeans and pseudo-academia, and even some of our so-called black scholars, and some of our Moorish scholars. There's much proof that the settling of black people from Europe and other empires in America prior to European colonizations. So-called Egyptians like Moses, Pharaoh, Akhenaten are considered to be Moors. Muslims by nature, and according to the book, The Divine Contract, it's a science. It's a science called the Divine Contract of the Moorish nation, our Quran and the treaties. I'm giving y'all high science. The Marrakesha. Y'all ever heard of that? I'm gonna write it down for y'all. My emperor's like, write it down. I'm gonna write it down. The Marrakesha. M-A-R-R, it's 2 R's, M-A-R-R-A-K-A-S-H, 1786 and 1836. Y'all got that? And I'll PDF you the document if you don't have it. And it's specified that the Quran as the law of adjudication between Moors and Muslims and white Americans. It's in there. You ain't got to listen to nothing I say. That's why I said we must defend the Constitution. I'm trying to bring us back to something. We missing it. That's why you got to see the Treaty of Marrakech. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Y'all got to research that treaty. Y'all hear me? That's homework. Research the Treaty of Marrakesh. All right? There were also Moors from the era of Muhammad, the 7th century and beyond in America prior to colonization. A decree issued in 1539 by Charles V, King of Spain, forbade the grandsons of Muslims burned at the stake, to migrate to the West Indies. The decree was ratified in 1543. You hear that? They burned Muslims by the stake. An order from the exclusion of all Muslims from overseas, the Spanish territories, Mexico, and North and South America, was subsequently published. Why would the Christian king of Spain and the Pope in Rome want all Muslims expelled from all Spanish colonies overseas? Hernan Cortes, a Spanish criminal who invaded Mexico in 1519, who had an inborn genius for treachery and was unbelievably cruel and brutal, boasts to the same king, Charles V of Spain, that he had massacred unarmed women and children in order to impose his will upon the natives. I can go on and on with the science, but I don't want to stay too deep in it. George Washington chops down the cherry tree. It's really symbolic of the Judiciary Act of 1789. That's the first United States bank in 1791. That created the debt system. Yep. We almost done. I want to leave that right there. I want to go into it. I'm going to give y'all this. I'm going to show y'all this. I'm going to show y'all this, and I'm going to read this to you. So you can see how they copied everything, man. And that's why I said everywhere I go, I'm a noble. And I have my fez on everywhere. And most Europeans, lawyers, judges, they're Masons. And when I come down, they give me gratitude. It's just what it is. But what I just showed you was the Treaty of Marrakesh of 1786 between Khalifa Muhammad Ibn Abdullah, the Islamic leader of the Moorish Empire in Maghreb in the United States of America. And that was the first page. It contains the seal and an introductory article of the treaty made in June of 1786 and later translated in 1787. The Arabic original and English translation protects all Muslims and Moors from enslavement. Most of the 56 and 57%, according to Sylvian Diouf's book, Servant of Allah, blacks captured in the slave trade were citizens of Islamic nations, Moorish nations that recognized the Caliph of the Moorish Empire. The enslavement of these Moors and Muslims was a violation of national and international law. The Moors of the West, who were misnamed Indians and Negroes, were also receiving tributary payment from King George III and his colonies. And when they, the Europeans or the whites, did not pay, their citizens were held captives. In the book, The Life of Charles Thompson, The History of the Black Lenabe, Nanticoke, Moor Shakum or Shakum, Testanuga, is discussed the tribute payment of the whites, that Tedayuskans choosing of Charles Thompson to act as secretary in respect to the interactions between the Moors, misnamed Indians and Negroes, and the white British subjects. I'm telling you, man. I'm gonna stop right there. I'm gonna stop right there. I'm gonna stop right there, Moors. I'm gonna start showing we can go deep with the duality of the 4th of July. And we talk about the day of the keeper. But y'all see this picture right here? This is what I want to end with y'all. And then we'll finish up. We're going to finish up tomorrow. Don't let nobody lie to you. People had these teachings and they buried the teachings under they tried to bury the teachings and created some black stuff and got you off the law. We need our nationality and our spirituality, which make us a complete fifth. Y'all know this. We are not black. I'm telling you. We are not black. We are Asiatic. They're black. I promise you. And the teaching's been buried, and they know it. A lot of these teachings is science in here. Just like when I talk about the Clock of Destiny, Volume 1 and 2, it's the science. So you got to understand who buried the science in a shallow grave. one of the 25,000 identification cards given out by Fire Muhammad in Detroit and Chicago from 1930 to 1934 for registered Muslims. They know the science, man. So I'm done. I'll answer a couple questions. They know the science, man. They all know the science. All them true imams, they know it. That's why when they see me, they know what it is. Because I know their science. I study their holy books. I can show you so much stuff that's hide the secret architecture of our nation's capital. I can show you so much. The Masons who first signed the Declaration of Independence will have been aware of the particular scientific and the significance of the 4th of July as a cosmic event. And I know y'all don't know what I'm talking about right now, but we're going to talk about that later. We talk about the July 4th. Congress agreed the wording of the Declaration, and it was signed by the President of Congress, John Hancock, who was a Mason, and the Secretary of Congress, Charles Thompson. Keep those names in your head. We talk about the 13. We talk about the new constellation. Keep this stuff in your head. Get a science. We'll talk about it. When I talk about the Kiefer, when I break all that stuff down, when we talk about the Cyrus mysteries. See, a lot of stuff that I haven't even revealed out, but we got a thing called the Cyrus mysteries. When we talk about the solar disk held by the dung beetle, it's not representing the sun, but the star Sirius. It's on July 3rd and 5th that Sirius is aligned directly with the sun and the earth. And it's in the center of the 70-day period of disappearance from the heavens. And this was a special spiritual time in the ancient Moorish nation. This was a special time in Egypt. Tomorrow, the astronomical positioning of the planets, the sun, and the stars at the center of the universe is a time of special spiritual force that affects all events on earth. This was this time, man. That's why I tell y'all it was things happening in history. This was the Cyrus mysteries. They were the Cyrus mysteries. It was reestablished by the family of Amaran. When I talk about the family of Amaran, that was the 18th dynasty of Egypt. That was that Moorish Israel, the world's first monotheistic culture of the present age of history. I want y'all to know that. I want y'all to know that. I want y'all to know the significance of the Cyrus and the ancient traditions surrounding government. We got to know this. When I talk about Know Your America, when I take us through the teaching of a suggested course in Americanism, we talk about the American Legion. We talk about by what authority was our first national flag established. It was authorized by what? The Conditional Congress. We got to understand this stuff. When we talk about the significance of the 13 and the new constellation. And a lot of this stuff rests in European Masonry. The ancient secret science of the secret knowledge and religion and of Israel's, God's nation, and its relation to the indigenous black man and woman of America. I hope y'all know this science. But that's it. Any questions? We're done. Any questions, Moors? I asked Moors to become students and members. All right, what the questions? I ain't see the questions. Moors, I'm gonna highlight some books. This book right here, Golden Age of the Moors by Ivan Van Sertima. I print them on my printing press. I got them available for Moors if they want them. I want to highlight these couple books that you can have. A lot of these books expensive on Amazon. If I was you, I wouldn't be accepting nothing in the mail right now for nobody shipping me nothing. I got PDFs. Here go Alessandro de' Medici, Duke of Florence, son-in-law of the Emperor Charles V. His father was a Pope, Clement VII, and his mother, Anna, an African woman. Alessandro was also referred to as Alessandro the Moor. Look at this. This is Ivan Van Sertima. Look at the brother nose. Look at the brother nose, man. Huh? That's an Ivan Van Sertima. This is in the golden age of the Moors. I want to show you a couple more. I don't want to stick too long because I'm done. Look at, watch this. Moorish the Moor, better known in Europe as Saint Maurice. This painting stands 7.5 feet high, 5 1/4 feet wide, and demonstrates the impact the Moors had on the medieval Europe, dated in the 7th century. The next picture is Jonas Moorus, another Moor of saintly status in Europe. This icon is dated the 19th century and is to be found in a museum in Germany. He was the vizier of Sicily, circa 1100 AD. They got all, look at this. You ain't got to listen to me, man. You ain't got to listen to me. All in history. That's one book I hope more should get. My other book, another book, The Sacred Drift. When I tell you, man, people wrote about our prophet. Peter Lambert Wilson, he wrote about our prophet. I'm telling you, people was under our prophet, man. The teaching was valid. I'm telling you, man, the river runs deep, and it's a lot that our prophet did. When you talk about Peter Lambert Wilson, we talk about Peter Moon, when he wrote about our prophet, man, there's so many Europeans that wrote about our prophet. So many people. When he said, he wasn't the first one, but he brought things back to our remembrance. Our prophet Noble Drew Ali was the first one to tell you that you're not Negro, black, and colored. All you got to do is, Empress, send me an email to my email, so I can email you the syllabus and an enrollment package. But remember, I'm not shipping nothing out. I'm waiting for clearance. So hopefully I'll be able to ship stuff out in 2 weeks. You know, you don't want to be letting nobody ship you nothing, sneezing on it, then you get sick. This stuff is real. So, but send me your email, and I'll send you a syllabus and an enrollment package. The one-time $250 fee, you get your 7 books, your fez and your turban. Our $100 student fee, $5 a day for 20 days. That's going to help us build our temple, and everything is tax exempt. At the end of the year, you get a tax exempt receipt for all your donations. Even the books that you pledge from us that you get, it's all tax exempt because you're a member of our organization, and we're tax exempt. Let me give y'all the introduction of Sacred Drift. Crumbling 1920s photo of an American black man dressed in a robe, sash, fez. Let me. This is the picture that they're talking about. Let me give y'all the caption of how they talk about our prophet. When you got Negroes want to diss somebody. And I'm like, man, I ain't got time for that. I'm dealing with the science. I ain't dealing with no personal stuff. If somebody did something wrong, if they went to jail, good. Our prophet Noble Drew Ali, founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America, 1925, 4 years before his death, posing formally as Prophet Sharif and Mason, from who was Noble Drew Ali by Isa al-Mahdi. Crumbling 1920s photography of an American black man dressed in robe, sash, and fez, posing formally, hand on breast like Napoleon, labeled Prophet Noble Drew Ali, 1886-1929. To recover the meaning of this obscure and enigmatic portrait, we must rediscover a lost or secret portion of our own history. For American history is defined for us as much by the absence and disappearance as by its official presence, indeed perhaps even more so. The official source describes Noble Drew Ali as the founder of the first black Islamic sect in America. In truth, he was less than this. Not saying that he wasn't a prophet, but remember, we had Abdul Hamid Solomon. We have Deuce Muhammad. Before then, our prophet was inspired, but he the only one that brought the temple and said, you ain't Negro, black, and colored. You have a nationality and spirituality. For there were black Muslims here before, yes, but he was also more than this. He was an American prophet. He was an American prophet. This is what the European telling you. He could have stepped from the pages of Melville or Ishmael Reed, a thought of Allah clothed in the flesh, a fact, a poetic fact. Did y'all hear that? That's what they say about our prophet. And we let Negroes try to diss it. So that's it for today. That's it for today. So the books you get, look, Empress, this some of the books you will get. What I know Moorish don't have. Our discovery key question to the Moorish questionnaire. I haven't shipped none of these out. These will be going out to our students. These are a bonus book. But our Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood of the East, our Moorish literature book, our SO Science workbook, of course, our Moorish Quran, Catechism for Understanding Your Moorish Quran, chapters 20 to 48, your Quranic study guide, a guide for interpreting the Moorish Holy Quran, so you won't be confused. Unto Thee I Grant, which our Moorish Quran is constructed of. And then I got our law books. I PDF to you, Law, Life, and Liberty in the Pursuit of Happiness, where we know the laws. We break down the 13th and 14th and the 15th Amendment. And then my books, what I tell Moors, all my students, I tell Moors, you can get all my books for a $50 donation, and everything is tax exempt. The first book you need, the elementary science, is the Interpretation of the Divine Creed of Moorish Islam. One of my books that's gathered and compiled and divinely prepared by myself, Noble Kari Hakeem Goodman Bey, prepared for by publication by my Empress, LaShawn Goodman Bey, by the guiding of his Father, God Allah, the great God of the universe, to redeem man from his sinful ways and falling stages of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his Father, God Allah. This is the Interpretation of the Divine Creed of Moorish Islam. You need this. Moorish Americans Light of Ali and the Moorish Adapt Study Guide, the House of Ali Mysticism, the Egyptian Adapt Prophet and Angel. You gotta have that. Sufism and the Triple Rules of the Adapt Chamber, featuring a Commanding Adapt Manual and the use of our carpenter tools. You must have that. 14 famous Asiatic scientists in history. You must have that. Black scholars who debunked Eurocentric propaganda. What else I got? My vegan snack book. I got a vegan cookbook as well. It can be PDF. And I got my Healthy Eating and Living, my workout book, where I got a lot of smoothies, a lot of herbs for healing, a lot of workouts in there. And I gotta find my coloring book for the babies, because I got a coloring book where they see themselves in royalty. I just gotta find it in my files. But that's it, Moors. If Moors, y'all want my 7 books, $40 donation, you can get them. Everything is tax exempt with us. Oh, I got 2 more science books too. I send out these extra books. This is not part of our teaching, but these be extra teachings when I teach from. This one is the Moorish Americans Light of Ali. It's one of our Adapt Emeritus. And also the Moorish Americans Archival Palindrome. And I ain't even broke out ISIS. Can you hand me that big book down right there? The Nation of, Exhuming of the Nation, yep. And then we gonna wrap. Any questions? Any questions, Morris? And then I also give you the history from these here. I used to sell them, man. I had a bookstore in California, man. I had these bad boys stacked up. So after everything is done, once I started getting stuff back shipped, I'll have these. They cost no more, and they try to not print them no more. Even the Clock of Destinies, I got those too. I got all the Clock of Destinies, the originals. So any questions, Morris? That's it. Like I said, everything is tax exempt. Morris, I can build your library up. At the end of the year, everything can be done. We do our meet and greet this summer in Vegas. We're gonna be there for 3 days. We have our meet and greet. Everybody that's selling stuff, we're gonna pay our booth rent. We're gonna have special teachings. We're gonna have everybody doing certain crafts. And I'm gonna show you how we build this body, man. And everybody that's part of our auspices, we're gonna donate to our temple, and watch how big and grand we have. Watch all the babies you see out of our auspices wearing fezzes and turbans. Watch all the emperors you see wearing fezzes and turbans, instead of letting the European bury you in a shallow grave. Talk about the white fez and the gold tassels, not yours. That's you, my empresses. Any questions? I'm done. I'm gonna build our Moorish brothers up that's afraid to wear the fez, because they not sure about the 32 and 33 degrees. That's why they're not wearing the fez. That's self-identifying. The fez is your national headdress. We must wear our fez and our turban. That's right. That's the only way about self-identifying. If they put all of us in the room, 100 of us, and then you got Moors that's afraid to wear their fez, they only wear their fez on the internet, and they say all the Moors stand up, and it's self-identifying by our fez. No Moors will have their fez. But see, Moors will wear a turban because ain't nobody gonna ask them about the turban too much. Some will. But you must have the fez. When we meet, when we do, it's our fez. I wear my turban in the summer because it's hot. But I always wear my fez. This is my national headdress. But in the summer, I wear my turban. Any more questions? Any more questions, man? We done. I'll go. We 2 hours and 15 minutes in. No questions? And I close with this, man. That's why I ask Moorish to be students and be members, because I don't have time to be playing with nobody asking no dumb questions. Just want some quick fix coming on the page where I want this. I don't give a damn what you want. I'll block you. I don't have time for no games, and I ain't here to sell you nothing. I ain't here to sell you no fake ID. I don't have time to play. We educators, and most people want to be entertained. I don't have time for that. And we're going to see where all these individuals be next year when we have a body and a movement. And we be building on our 40 acres, and you see all the Moors with their log cabin on our acres in the mountains, with our animals and things, with our big temple in the city. And every Moor had the opportunity to be a part of this. I love y'all, man. Islam.